Knowing your audience is one of the key factors that you need to know in order to be a success. And so to that extent, it's a cardinal rule for empowering your pattern. Hi, I'm Jimi Hendrix, and this episode is called Know Your Audiences on Empower Your Pattern 2.0. I'm Jimi Hendrix, success, confidence, and thrive coach, member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and founder of James Hendrix Empowerment. I believe that there are patterns to help you receive more, to help you live a better and extraordinary life. And I also wish to give temporal and spiritual tips to help you overcome the adversities in everyday life. Hello, everybody. I gotta say, things have gotten brighter today. Yesterday, a friend of mine from church, those of you who listen to other podcasts like Strenuous Life Radio, my friend John, he took me to get my hair cut and to have a good lunch. There's times, because of how my body is, I crave protein. Something about it with my bipolar disorder. But I digress. We're talking about knowing your audiences. Anybody that wants to be a successful speaker or even a successful entrepreneur needs to know their audience. Okay? And so last spring I did a series called The 10 Rules of Empower Your Pattern. And those 10 rules are also in some of the early videos of Empower Your Pattern 2.0 up on YouTube. And we're going to be dealing with rule number 2, which is know your audience. It's very important that you become well acquainted with an audience that is going to help you and inspire you. That you're going to help and inspire, may bless you with income or something, or just be somebody that you can impact. You have to know your audience. I know back when I was with my friend Bishop Dave before he moved back to Utah, he would ask me to come with him to make speeches, and often the topic was overcoming adversity. And every time I would ask questions about my audiences, because the number one rule of public speaking, and I think it should be for success in life, one of the rules, beyond just loving and believing yourself, that's rule number 1. Rule number 2, and it's the top rule, is to know your audience. So, that being said, if you are a person trying to set up a business, okay, let's say you make white donuts, okay? Maybe not the kind, maybe you sell them in convenience stores or something, but you're a company that does that, okay? You're a company that does that, and it's very ironic that you want to know you're talking about, is it going to be convenience stores? Is it going to be bakeries? Is it going to be, syndicated grocery stores? Some of the target audiences might be college students, families, single-parent families. Audience demographics is important, but also getting to know your audience needs. And here's why. You need to define which audience that you want to market to and relate to, because it's your audience's problems that you're going to be working on solving. It's your audience's pain points. Okay, because here's something Dr. Delatoro McNeil once said: "There's a market for your misery. There's a patron for your pain. And there's a message for your mess," okay? So that's the thing. You show people, what your pain points are, and you use that to help people overcome theirs. Have it be audiences that you can relate to. I know one thing I have considered is, as a speaker, is possibly marketing to like college students, and also to aspiring entrepreneurs, as well as entrepreneurs. And so knowing your audience is something that you need to know and see. You need to know them, how I say it. Number one, you need to know them in a concise way. Brief. Find a way to communicate with them briefly. I mean, yes, if you're one that can do a 60-minute keynote, perfect. Or 45-minute keynote, or 60-minute platform speech, or 25 minutes platform speech. I'm just using hypothetical examples, in the field that I'm interested in, which is obviously public speaking and in personal development. My point is, you need to know the particulars of your audience, and you need to know the particulars of how you are going to solve their problem. One of the mottos that I like to say about James Henrik Empowerment, and I may put this on the WordPress page sometime, and that motto is, I solve problems. That's what I do. And that may be something I put on pretty soon. But guys, listen to this. Knowing your audience is key. And the sooner you see that, the sooner you know that, and it seeps into your very soul, then you can begin to bless the people around you in your sphere of influence and your audience. No questions asked. Okay? Because this is not something that you would just want to just frown around and fart around with. Knowing your audience is key. Give me a moment, I'm going to do some research. While I'm on to it, let me ask you guys a rhetorical question. How many of you have had a miscommunication with someone? And maybe that miscommunication was kind of like a bad reaction. This week, for me, it was full of that. Friends, family. I was not communicating at my very best. Bipolar was one thing. Having encounters with some people who promised something too good to be true and yet didn't keep their word. And that miscommunication affects how you relate to your audience. And sometimes, oh boy, it's a flaming grave for your career, your brand. Unless you can poise and recover rather quickly. I mean, seriously. By knowing your audience, you need to be able to relate to your audience. Okay, you can't just say, well, I'm a 45-year-old man and I want to sell tires to 18-year-old kids like them hijack trucks that go mudding. Maybe you don't approve of that, or you don't relate to that. You start a small company doing that, you're not going to succeed very well unless you get like an employee rather, or a partner that can relate. Okay. Another idea is if you were to speak to health insurance executives about cooperation with government on health care, and yet you're a researcher that is just out and out critical of the healthcare system, and you say, well, there's no solution. You're not going to get anything out of those executives. See, here's the thing. Some people claim they know the audience, but yet they say, then they say, well, there's no solution. There's always catch-22. And even in the political world, and the place of reactive culture, it tends to think, catch-22 as well. And so, that's the thing. You don't want to, if you're going to deliver something that is going to solve your audience problems, you don't need to sit there and fart around with a catch-22. Okay? You sit there and you present a problem solution, but you got this big old but, and people can tell that you like your solution, but you're kind of sour about it. That is not going to help you in the business world. You're probably wondering, well, Jimmy, why are you saying this? Back in the mid-2000s, I was studying healthcare administration for about a little over a semester. And I went to one of my classes, and, at first I thought, well, that's the solution to it. Everything, is fine. But then, there was this one professor, bless his heart, probably older gentleman. He was like a sourpuss, Well, there's all these legal problems and all these political problems, and there's no solution. I ended up walking out of that classroom. Because I could no longer stomach it. If you want to study a problem, but you can't provide some sort of solution that can inspire and uplift and impact your audience, their patterns don't get empowered, your patterns don't get empowered. This is not something that you can just fart around with. Okay? This is not something that you can just fart around with. In fact, I have a few choice words about that, but I'm really trying to use some restraint. And I guess I have these choice words because, well, quite frankly, what I've been seeing that's been going on in the world the past week. But knowing your audience is key. Whether it's a target audience of, who do you want to sell your specialty cakes in the bakery, like wedding cakes to, marrying couples and the like. Or whether you are speaking at this great big political association and you have a solution to, say, a policy issue. Or, motivational convention where you got an idea. You see that the audiences are as wide or as narrow as you want it to be. To niche down is good, though. To niche down is good. But whatever audience you pick to relate to solve a problem, know your audience, okay? Not something to fart around with. Now, I hope you enjoy listening to Empower Your Pattern. If you like what you hear, please subscribe and become a citizen of Pattern Realm. This is Jimi Hendrix saying, don't just sit there and take it. Go out there and build your dreams so you can take it. Do what others don't so you can do what others won't. And do what others won't so you can go out there and have what others can't. Choose, act, and pursue happiness. God bless you guys. Hope to talk to you in a few days. Bless you guys. Bless each and every one of you. Y'all have a blessed day.